What's going on, everyone? Jonathan here with the Aim and Audio Experience. I'm here with David from Harvest Kitchen Catering. He's the creative director and owner, and right here near the gastro truck. But we're going to go in and check out the boardroom. It's his newest event venue in the North County, San Diego area. Let's go and check it out and get to the podcast. All right, what's going on, everyone? I'm Jonathan. I'm the host of the Aim and Audio Experience, and today we have a really special guest, and it's a really special podcast for a number of different reasons. And I feel like I say this with every podcast because each one is very special and kind of unique in its own way. But this one's special because David and I, we've worked together for quite a while, and every single time I hang out with this guy or talk with him on the phone or whatever, we always end up like throwing around these crazy ideas. We end up having these awesome conversations, and I always leave the conversation feeling like I wish there was like more time because we're both busy.
Yeah.
He runs an incredible catering company called Harvest Kitchen, and I'm going to ask him some questions about that in a little bit. But I always leave the conversation, whether it's on the phone or in person, really wishing that we had more time and we had another opportunity to kind of get together and chop it up on business or personal stuff or whatever. So I'm really excited that we're finally putting this together.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us in your space. This is an incredible space, and I know in the B-roll that Ryan will get a little bit later, you'll get to see this spot. It's a really special spot that you've set up here in the. Is this technically Carlsbad, or? It's
actually, we're like at the epicenter between Vista, San Marcos, and Carlsbad. Like, you can throw a stone and you're in San Marcos. So we're kind of centrally right in that spot. Yeah. Yeah.
So an ideal location in those three markets, and a really cool area in the North County, San Diego area. You're very coastal, 10 minutes away from the beach?
Yeah, I live in Lucadia. It takes me like 15 minutes to get to work, which is nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. The commute isn't bad. Tell us a little bit about Harvest Kitchen, kind of what you guys are, and then we'll get into a little bit of you. Yeah,
cool. So Harvest Kitchen, we're a full-service catering company. Really specifically a focus on seasonal, organic, local produce. That's why I got into this business. So we really make an effort to source seasonally, which is not only amazing for flavor and the vibrancy of the food, but it's better for the environment, and tomatoes suck in winter. You shouldn't be eating tomatoes in December. So we really make an effort to source seasonally and locally as possible. We work with a variety of different partners to get as much produce from local farms, but it's always organic. And we do events. We do primarily our three tiers of business are weddings, corporate events, and then film shoots, like TV commercials and movies and things like that.
I actually think I met you. When I met you, you were doing a Chargers commercial back when the Chargers were in San Diego. That was a while ago.
That was cool. That was at Qualcomm Stadium for ESPN.
Yep.
So that line of business, while it's not, the lion's share of our revenue, it's a really fun business to get to be in. We've been on sets in the middle of nowhere in Mount Palomar for Honda motorcycles to doing a Nike shoot, with all these hipsters from LA, So it's a really unique business to be in, and it helps fill in the cracks. So, and we do have a food truck. That's how I got my start, was, owning a food truck. And we still utilize that, but about 4 years ago, we really cut the cord from doing street routes and festivals and selling off the truck to utilizing it now just for private events.
Okay, and I want to ask you some more questions about that later, but that commercial space is kind of native to where you came from business-wise, correct? Because you did some stuff. So tell us a little bit about kind of your background. I mean, as far back as you want to go if you feel like it. But I know like some of the ad space stuff, and were you always starting a business is kind of a big deal, and we'll talk about that later, but was this always something you did, like straight lemonade stands, or was it more something you grew into?
Yeah, it's to really where it starts, where we'll come back is PBS, watching cooking shows.
Okay.
I just latched on to watching these cooking shows. Actually, the very first experience that I can think of where I found this niche of food that was interesting was also infomercials. I used to obsessively watch infomercials as a kid. Awesome. I haven't thought about this in a while. And the first one I ever saw was for a vacuum sealer. right? That it was some product where you could vacuum seal things, and there was this montage of family going out fishing and catching trout, and then like vacuum sealing it. And I just got interested in this. That led me into watching cooking shows. There was a show called The Frugal Gourmet on WTTW in Chicago, where I was raised, and I just started watching, and then Food Network came, and I just would kind of geek out on it. I was never like, oh, I want to be a chef, or I wouldn't be like, oh, I want to try these recipes. Just the art and creativity in food just kind of fascinated me. I wasn't as much into sports. I was into music and art, and then I just would geek out and watch Food Network, But I grew up in a fairly conservative family, and it was like you go to college, you get your business degree, you put on your suit, work's a 4-letter word, it sucks, and you just save up money for when you retire.
Yeah.
And I went down that path, and I carved out a career in advertising. And I did that for years. I started out in this company called Nationwide Advertising Service that became NAS, and
How
it was
proper.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually recruitment advertising. So like Hyatt Hotels or Caterpillar or stuff would have to hire a lot of people, and they would have to advertise for it. This was before Career Builder and Monster. I'm kind of dating myself, It was like right before those came out. So you would search for jobs in the newspaper and things like that. So for me, it was ethically pleasing. So we weren't selling a product that people didn't need. It was trying to help people find jobs, and it was really cool. But I say that because that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. I was 23 years old, and long story short, they gave me my own regional office. I was moved out to Phoenix at 23 and managed an entire...
So moving from Chicago.
Yeah.
Were you born in Chicago?
I was born in Chicago.
Born in Chicago, so moved to Phoenix when you're 23.
23.
You did college.
Yeah, I did college, got a job with this company right out of college, and I was doing sales, but I wanted to do something creative. And in business school, I got a degree in marketing because I was like, well, if I'm going to do business, this one has a little creativity to it, and I just thought it'd be fun, and have a little amount of art to it, and then I found myself in a sales position where, I was working with clients to develop the campaigns and whatnot. And then a big shift in my career that only lasted about 3 months was working for Leo Burnett. And if you're not familiar with Leo Burnett, it is like the ad agency in Chicago. The movie Mad Men was based on partly like Leo Burnett makes an appearance in the show, and it was the glamorous ad job that everyone wanted to work at Leo Burnett. And I got a job there, and then I was miserable. They work grinding hours, no money, but it was kind of sexy on my resume that I worked at Leo Burnett. And when I came back to the company I started with, that's when they said, hey, we really were impressed with this kid. Let's send him out to Phoenix and see what he does. The office was hemorrhaging money. It was in the hole, $150,000. And this company was nationwide advertising. They had 36 offices at that point. Because it was kind of another era where it was like local advertising, very like needed your local office, kind of an old school mentality. But they're like, well, let's see what he can do. The office has been doing terribly. And so I remember going out.
You're 23.
23 years old.
Holy shit.
I step into my office that was 3 times the size of my bedroom, corner office overlooking downtown Phoenix. My staff, my 2 account managers were older than me. And I remember like shutting the door to my office and looking out the window and being like, oh, wow, holy shit, I need to do this now. Like I've talked a lot of game, but it was basically, I had my P&L, I would have to go drum up business, and it was like my own little business with the backbone of a corporate company. So it was really exciting, and in 2 years, I flipped the business into profiting over $100,000. I closed Caremark, which is a big pharmacy care company, and really blew them away. And the company, and then they offered me Chicago, where I had started out, which was a much larger market, and moved back, but was not happy. I was like, I feel like I'm starting over. The industry was shifting. Career Builder and Monster was coming out, and I just hated being in Chicago during the winter. One winter, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Not a cold weather guy?
Yeah,
okay.
No, and I grew up with it, and I had already had a taste of being in Arizona,
Okay.
And
what a shift! I mean,
yeah.
just weather-wise,
Dude.
and probably even just lifestyle. And do
Oh,
you notice
yeah.
the difference in the people there at all? Just
Yeah.
like the moods. Because we went to Phoenix, and we've gone a couple different times, and obviously we're here in Southern California. It's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, people seem so friendly there.
In Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my experience.
Maybe. Totally. Yeah, I think so. In Scottsdale, where I lived, there was a lot of, pardon my French, douchebags. It was kind of like it was just kind of meatheads and club guys and stuff, and it really wasn't as much my forte. But in other areas, in Phoenix, especially in Sedona, I loved it, but it was like this club environment that I didn't really like. But I eventually found amazing people that became really close friends when I lived there, and I didn't know anyone. I had to move in 2 weeks when I accepted the offer. I was flown out, found an apartment. It was really exciting for me, like starting anew, you know. And what I really got into there was distance running. I started running marathons when I was in Arizona. My ma had a stroke in 2005, and I discovered Train to End Stroke, which was like, these programs where you join a team and you raise funds and awareness for a cause. Like Team in Training was for leukemia. And I got really into running out there, and the weather would be, summers were crazy, but the weather was great for training, But I love my time there as much as I do think, like, Scottsdale is just unique, it's like people chasing the dollar a lot there, but in downtown Phoenix where I worked, everyone was great. I feel like Chicago people are incredibly nice. I grew up with this Midwest mentality, that I kind of wear like a badge of honor. When I meet other people from the Midwest, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because there's a respect and honesty, and appreciate your family first, appreciate your elders, and I just feel like there's just a level of respect there that I still hold close to me, and people I meet from the Midwest seem to have that same mentality.
I'm from Texas. It's funny.
Okay.
16 years there before I moved here to California. So a lot of fun there, kind of. Some a little further east for you, but so you're in Phoenix and you moved back to Chicago. Not super happy with what's going on there as far as work-wise. What's kind of the next transition for you?
Well, was that our San Diego office opened up. So in the agency, we had a San Diego office, which, let's be honest, between Chicago and San Diego, it's a much smaller market. It was like kind of a step back or a lateral move, but I was like, I fell in love with San Diego when I was living in Arizona and started making the drive out and would visit friends and fell in love. So when I saw that office opened up, I was like, hey, I want to move to San Diego. And they let me. They relocated me and everything.
Oh, wow.
And moved into the office there and quickly realized that this agency was, dying. Or it was not dying. It still exists. And don't get me wrong, I had a great career there. It was like a family. It was awesome. But I saw the writing on the wall that we were becoming a little more obsolete with Career Builder, Monster, all this other stuff.
Definitely.
And so I was there for 6 months and pretty unhappy, and I wanted to get in. I was really excited in the digital space, right? Social media marketing, SEO, stuff like that, and I wanted to learn it. And after 6 months, after getting to San Diego, I left and joined Red Door Interactive, which is a really cool local digital shop that does everything from website development to SEO to social media, email marketing, everything. And I was in business management and business development and worked there for 2 years and had a great run. It was awesome. It was a great job, and I did really well. And it was to be in business, it was like agencies are fun. You got really interesting people, and I had a great career, but that's when I really started being like feeling empty. And that would be in like 2009, 2010, when the environmental movement really started to take shape with, like an Inconvenient Truth, the documentary by Al Gore. And I became super passionate about awareness about environmental change, and started soul searching for a while of what I wanted to do next.
Well, San Diego is a great place. I mean, that's kind of, I think, you get an incredible mix of people, but also a lot of kind of forward-thinking people who are really interested in different perspectives like that. So when something like that film comes out, all of a sudden you have these people that really could go on. So you probably found a great community here as well. Very cool. Okay, so at that point, do you kind of start tapping back into your roots of, the infomercials and the food and being kind of a foodie, or did that happen a little bit later?
It happened a little bit later. It was originally like looking on greendreamjobs.org, looking for anything in marketing that could be somehow environmentally influenced, and then almost going back. Travel was a passion, so I looked at it, getting an international MBA, and I was really searching for this and trying to figure out and trying to just grab at what the next thing was going to be. And then I had this really big epiphany, was in my job at Red Door Interactive, that, don't get me wrong, was a great job, great company, but I looked forward and I was like, what am I going to do? Become like a VP? Or am I going to become a VP at another ad agency or something like that? And I got sick to my stomach. I'm like, ugh, no. Mm-hmm. And then I had this epiphany, because I think that's what hems up a lot of people with their dreams, right? Is, what is that going to be? What is it going to be? And I'm a firm believer in the laws of attraction, right? And for me, the epiphany was, okay, self. I know myself well enough that that's not my future. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was like, wow, okay, that's not going to happen.
Because you've worked with those guys and gals, and you've kind of seen what that looks like for
them. To be at a VP level and working crazy hours in the stress for someone else, and I was like, okay, I know that's not going to happen, so a change is coming. I know that for a fact. I have no idea what it is. And I would work on this meditation in my mind. It was like being on a beach and seeing this tidal wave coming way off in the distance and having no idea what it is, but like being really excited for it. Mm-hmm. And when I shifted that mindset and let go of the fear, mm-hmm. I think everything, I do firmly believe, may sound hippy-dippy to some, but like everything is rooted in fear and love. Mm-hmm. Every decision we make, every action we take is based in that. And when you step out of a fear mindset and into like a love mindset, I was like, I know something's coming. I'm super stoked on it. Doors started opening, and it washed over me like a relief, and I was like, I don't know when or what it is, but something's coming. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about it.
Well, that's totally true. It's like the whole thing when, you're thinking about a red car, you're going to see all the red mm-hmm. cars. When you buy a new car, or when you're thinking about maybe even a catering van. I know this probably happened.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about getting a catering van, all of a sudden all of the Ford Transits are, popping up to you as you're driving down the road. Like, I didn't know everyone's driving these, But it's just because that's what your mind's on. So you're totally right. If you're thinking about, how worried you are about whatever, you are going to feel more worry. And if mm-hmm. you're thinking about, how excited you are about the next opportunity, it's going to kind of reverse.
Yeah.
So that resonates a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I kind of let go of that fear and trying to pull in what the next thing was going to be, it's kind of like when you're searching to fill a void, you don't mm-hmm. get what you really want. Yeah. You need to be happy in yourself.
Kind of like that anxiousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And then one day I was flying to Colorado, and I play music, and I was going to play this little bluegrass festival my friends put on. I play guitar, and I sing, and I write songs, and my friend had been throwing this little festival on his land up in the mountains in Colorado for years, just called Hallelujah. And I was going out to play, but I had like checked in late or something, and I was stuck in a middle seat. And I never do that. I always have window or aisle, and I'm sitting there and I'm feeling stuck in life, and I'm stuck in this seat, and then I started thinking about what I wanted to do, and then the thing of food came back in, right? And I started thinking, like, wow, I like food. I'm really interested in food. I would throw parties and cook for friends, and stuff. Socially, yeah. Never worked as a chef. Never even worked in a restaurant. I worked at Dairy Queen my first job. That's about as close as I came to working in food, And then it hit me. I was like, start a cafe, like an organic cafe. No, I don't have enough money for that. And then I was like, food trucks. Food trucks are becoming cool. Now, this is when it was just coming out, like food trucks, right? Mm-hmm. This is like in 2010, right? And then it hit me, like an organic food truck that's biodiesel powered or veg oil powered, serving organic food and spreading a green message that way. And it clicked on that flight. Like, that was it. I went to my friend's property for the whole weekend, telling everyone about this idea. Anyone who started a business, you get an onslaught of what ifs and what about this and what about that. And my father was like that, who would just like a sniper trying to shoot down your idea, because it's fear. right? They're fearful for you because it's also, I think, almost an envious because they never had the balls to do it themselves, right? So they want to try and poke holes into your idea. And it's one that, like, they're worrying for you. And if someone was going about something haphazardly, yeah, of course, like, take advice. But I eventually, I remember when my dad, it really put a pressure on my dad and I. We didn't have a great relationship to start. And he was just being negative Nancy about, like, what about this? And I'm like, dude, I have 272 dominoes in a row that need to fall. I've seen the last one fall. It is written. I've seen it in my mind's eye. It's happening. So why the fuck would I worry about number 56? Like, oh my God, number 56. Oh, I'm just going to give up.
Yeah.
No one would accomplish their dreams if they thought that way.
That's so true.
And so many people like, oh, what about health insurance? What about this? And what about that? I'm like, dude, eventually I was just like, I surround myself with positive thinking people, and we had to come to a crossroads. I'm like, either we don't talk about this anymore or you support it, because it's happening and I know it and I'm so confident, and like, this doesn't help me, And that was a big thing for me that I tell people when you're chasing your dreams, focus on painting the picture of what life is going to be like. Get out the fine point pen, get out the colors, get out and really bathe in what that would look like. I saw myself on the truck. I saw myself cleaning the truck and doing everything and even the good, bad, and the ugly. And I spent a lot of time focusing on that, because then everything else comes into play when you say it is written, And that's how it really worked for me. In that moment when I was like scared or whatnot, it was exciting because I just knew I'd make it happen. I knew I'd make it work. Something
that's so true about what you said about fear and love, but what's very interesting about that fear component is someone is trying to point out, because they are scared. Maybe they're scared for you. Maybe they're a little envious. There are a number of different emotions that might come into play there. But a lot of times that fear for you comes in the guise, and offering that, advice comes in the guise that, oh, I'm just trying to tell you this because I do love you and I don't want you to fail.
Right.
They're like they love you so much that they're going to be afraid for you, kind of thing, and put that fear in there. And that is really interesting. And being a parent now is interesting because I'm thinking, like, how do you empower your kids and how do you not be? I think in some senses I've had similar things. My parents, one parent is very kind of career minded, been in the same 2 jobs for 40 years. One is very maverick. One is very entrepreneurial. Yeah, my mom is extremely, just the synapses are always just firing all sorts of crazy business ideas. And it's kind of, and then my dad is very grounded, and has been at 2 different companies and worked 20 or 30 years at each. And has put in an incredible career and done some incredible stuff, but radically different personalities. One is like, you should focus and slow down a little bit and really double down. And then my mom is like, I don't even think she's focused on anything that's going on at the time, So really, really interesting there, not only giving advice to other people, but kind of that difference in like people giving advice, because there is a lot of fear that goes into it. And I think it's incredible when you're able to find that passion and you're able to paint that picture so clearly for yourself that you actually end up pursuing it, because you're pursuing you're just starting to color in the lines then. You've already drawn the sketch. Now you're just adding the color and everything to it. And you get to domino 56. And you get to eventually solve whatever it is, whether it's healthcare, insurance, or whatever, but focusing on that domino instead of focusing on domino number 1 puts a lot of people out of business before they're even in business.
Totally.
So,
and that's interesting. My family there was no mavericks. There was no risk. I was like this, black sheep weirdo that came out, like musician and hippie and just kind of against the grain, dressed kind of funny, had long hair, and I just did not fit into the family dynamic, and no one took risks. Really, my mom was, similar, worked at the same school district basically her whole life. My dad, he, like I said, treated, work as, he would say, work's a 4-letter word. It just sucks and you just got to do it. And I was like, oh, why does that have to be that way? And I fought it for a while. Or I fell into that line, like a lot of people do, where you chase a paycheck and you're sizing people up by how much money they make and everything.
Position in the company.
Yeah, and that's when there was a big shift and it's something my partner and I, Cam, talked about, was like, letting go of that idea of a paycheck coming every other week, right? And what was interesting was in that, I was becoming a consumer, which we mostly do. It's like salary is, it can be a form of, some people's salary is like a form of slavery, where it's like you make this money and the weekend comes and you want to piss it away because this is why I'm working, so I can spend money on stuff. And I was living outside of my means, and I had credit card debt, and I wasn't happy. And it's like there's this empty fulfillment of, I can buy stuff, and that makes me happy, and that breeds happiness, right? And I think a lot of people fall into that trap of what is happiness and that isn't. And then when I made this shift and I didn't have that steady income coming in, it started to change my mindset, started seeing things in a different way and realizing, wow, I'm happier than ever. I'm working more than I ever have. I'm broke and I'm so happy, and I started to realize what happiness really means, and realizing that period where I was somewhat depressed and everything, and it was because I wasn't being fulfilled. And when I changed that and I found that my passion was being focused, it was like, oh wow, I saw the world through a new lens. And then I got out of credit card debt in this process of being totally broke, but I saw money and things in a different way, because I didn't start this business to make a lot of money. Now I, of course, want to grow it and make it, it's more about, I always say it's more about lifestyle, but that wasn't the motivation.
But you're on domino, 50 or 80 now, and you've got 260 or whatever to go, so you've already done one through there, but you started with those.
Totally.
So go back there. So you start the truck.
Yeah. Wow.
Start Green Truck. How do you transition from Green Truck to Harvest Kitchen?
The passion since I started was supporting local organic farms, and that for me when I converted to Green Truck and learned about how food was grown was where I really found the heart of my business. And I remember the first day, there's a farm called Susies farm here that existed for a long time, a beautiful, biodynamic, diverse, organic farm here in southern part of California near the Tijuana border. And we made this beautiful relationship. I still remember the first day I went and picked up my order from the farm and staring out over the fields, and I cried. I literally, because I was like, this is I'm on my path. And to seeing the people in the fields literally harvesting the produce that was going to go on my truck that day was incredible. I still think about that fondly, and I created this for years. We sourced everything from them. We did events from Susie's Farm. Wow. About 80% of our fresh produce came from Susie's. They would deliver and everything, and we did events on the farm, strawberry jam, pumpkin palooza, these really cool.
We did some events with you.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we've done, and I was exposed to Susie's Farm through you guys. It was either through you or maybe Farm Fresh to you, like a grocery delivery company or something. One of those things, but I mean, that's how I got connected with Susie's Farm in what we do. And that now makes so much sense because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful symbiotic relationship. And there's just another point of like envisioning your dreams. I'll never forget, I had this I wanted to do like dinners or events like on the farm, like in the crop row, like serving, doing it. I would talk to them about it. And then the first strawberry jam we did, which was a really cool event where it was like, you pick strawberry event, but then they had music, and then a bunch of food vendors would come in and do like strawberry menus. And we did this really cool strawberry takeover of our menu. And at this point, also mind you, we were changing our menu every 2 weeks based on what every 2 weeks. We had a couple staples, and every 2 weeks I challenged my chefs, and I came up with most of the dishes, and would change it. So we did a whole strawberry takeover, but I had envisioned this, right? And then we're on the farm at Strawberry Jam. I'd come up with this this dessert dish where it was summer, so it was, squash blossoms were in season. So it was fried squash blossoms stuffed with a mascarpone almond honey mixture with a strawberry gas streak over it, right? And I'm in the truck. We are slammed. There's 40 people in line at the truck. There's a stack of tickets on. We're in the weeds, right? And I'm delicately stuffing this little, squash blossom in the heater, and I just stop. And it was like this montage moment of like looking out at the window of the truck and being like, holy shit, it's here. It was like, you're just going, then you realize this is what I always envisioned. And I was like, had this moment of stillness. And I was like, 86 dessert. After I had this moment, I'm like, I'm delicately trying to stuff these squash blossoms, because at that point I didn't know about prepping ahead of time. These should have been done ahead of time, you know. But it's funny, like when you don't even realize stuff that you visioned happen, you know. And I think people should take more credit, you know, and take a moment to realize when you've actually manifested what you wanted. But that was a funny moment where I was like, you know, careful what you wish for, you know.
and then you were there and you were like, oh.
Yeah, and I was, okay, we got to get out of the weeds. And it wound up being great, and we had a great relationship with them. But that was, like I said, the heart of it, and still to this day, is sourcing and understanding, you know, the problem with conventional farming, how bad it is for the environment, and it's just not how nature intended to be, and wanting to move the needle more to organic, local farms, and supporting those is still what drives me. I've
been recently interested in that just from a kind of very practical standpoint of just how I feel and my family, as we've thought about, like, you know, as we have kids, we have 3 kids now, and it's like what we want to feed them and all that. And then you think about how much nutrients you're getting, and I've been reading different books and reading and discovering that, you know, even though it seems like sometimes you are getting nutrients, the soil in a lot of cases is depleted of the nutrients that it has. And so supplementing or going with, you know, options that do come from farms that are, you know, rotating how they're doing their planting or whatever, really is the best way to go. So you're actually getting the nutritional value, because even if you're eating a raw diet or wherever, depending on the farm it's coming from, and there's so many other variables, you know, and it's this whole thing. Like, I've been getting into biohacking a little bit. It's been fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like nootropics and different things. So anyway, we'll have to chop it up on that later. And see, this is what's going to happen. We're here, you know, we're on the podcast. We only have an hour or so. You know, Steve's going to get antsy on me and run back into the kitchen. But I want to touch on one point before we wrap up here, and that is, where do you get your creativity from? Because obviously a very creative guy. You know, you come up with these menu items. You know, you're not necessarily just leaving that to your chefs. You are creative in the sense of how you're approaching your business model. You're looking for opportunities. Where does that come from? Is that just kind of something that you just have and you don't even know? I mean, I know you've been to Burning Man a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's maybe some friendships or relationships that kind of spark that. Is it music? What drives that? Or when you feel burnt out, do you kind of go back to surfing, maybe riding your motorcycle? What fuels that creativity and that passion to kind of keep pushing forward?
Well, like, you know, at surface level and then digging deeper, for my business, it's, you know, it's based on going to the farmer's market. I go to the farmer's market every week, and I just look at the produce. That's how I'd do at Susies. I'd scour their availability list, and I would be like, ooh, eggplants, what could we do with that, you know? And so in my business, it's always been about the produce. It's always been about, I'm an ingredients geek. I'm fascinated by it, and I want to use the cool stuff. And
the flavors and stuff. Okay, so you're seeing different things, you're talking to people, and then that's kind of like, oh, this could actually go, and you're kind of putting stuff together.
Exactly, okay. And that helps drive our brand, is thinking about really seasonally curating dishes based on that. But in life, I think it's forever being curious, you know, and I think it's that age-old thing is, you know, is stepping out of your comfort zone is where the magic happens, and I thrive in that. I crave it, you know. I don't have an addictive personality, but I do to that buzz of life, that new feeling, that newness. So I constantly seek that out, and something that I always want to have in life. I mean, I even got the word dream tattooed on my arm to kind of remind myself to never stop dreaming. There's, you know, life to me, another thing is that life isn't, when people say life's too short, I'm like, life is long. Mm-hmm. Life is long to me. Yeah. That life's too short, I'm like, no, life's too long not to chase your dreams. Life's too long not to put yourself in a situation that makes your heart rate go faster and evolve as a person. I feel like there's so many opportunities to do good, to carve out an exciting life, that why not do it? Because life is long. Yeah. You know, I don't think life is short.
I like that, and I haven't heard that perspective before.
Yeah, so. I hear that, I'm like, dude, man, I'm like at the halfway mark, and I'm like, wow, there's another half to go. Holy crap! Like, you know, I think there's that
And a quarter of the first half, you're in grade school
Yeah.
or you're doing whatever.
Yeah.
You're just learning about random
Life's
stuff.
too long not to chase your dreams. That's how I see it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we should probably wrap up
Yeah, cool.
with that. But thank you so much for listening. For anyone who out there who's listening or watching, where can people find more about you, your brand? How do they get in touch with you if they want to book the truck or the catering experience?
Yeah, so harvestkitchen.com. That's our website where you can find all of our social media and whatnot. And then the venue we're in is called The Boardroom. It's booktheboardroom.com.
Really cool space. I've actually
Yeah.
been to a couple events here, and it's so much fun. We did a pairing. You just did a pairing with Boochcraft.
Yep.
That I was at, and I mean that was a lot of fun because you get the wine and pairings or the the liquor or whatever different pairings that go on, but Boochcraft specifically like this high alcohol kombucha paired with all of these different courses that David and his team created was incredible. And then there's the live music, and then there was this bit of a presentation for each course, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. If you want to check it out, if you go to the website and go to the homepage and scroll down, you can see our blog, the HK blog, and Dinner with Boochcraft is there. You can see the photos and whatnot. We'll be doing more of those here. We're going to try and do them each season, so 4 times per year. The next one coming up in fall, probably sometime in like October or November.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
cool.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you, bro.
Thank you so much for having us in your space.
Yeah,
and
thank you, dude.
we will see you all in the next episode.
Cool.
All right.